A dream is a profound thing. We sometimes think of dreams as meaningless, without purpose, little more than incoherent thought fragments resulting in hallucinations of the mind during slumber. To video game creators Yuji Naka, Naoto Oshima, and Takashi Iizuka, dreams meant something much more. They became the impetus for creating a masterpiece for the Sega Saturn and one of the greatest video games ever made. Just as a dream can slip away in the attempt to recall it upon waking, the game Nights into Dreams eluded my grasp as a child. My brothers and I were the only kids we knew that owned a Sega Saturn console, which was gifted to us by my father. Throughout my childhood, I would never see a single Sega Saturn game in retail stores. So, although I often saw and heard commercials for Nights into Dreams on the television and radio, I was never able to play a single second of the game despite desperately wanting to. In my adulthood, I began collecting for the system in order to relive some of the joys of my youth, and at last, play what I had sought for so long. In this video, we will briefly explore the history of Nights into Dreams, its storyline, gameplay, and the depths of its psychological meaning for the player. While having no nostalgic background for this game other than my childhood desire to play it, this title shattered my expectations as I finally discovered the greatness of Nights into Dreams. Let's get into it. First released in the United States in August of 1996 for the Sega Saturn, Nights would begin development in 1994, right after the release of Sonic & Knuckles for the Sega Genesis. Key members of Sonic Team, the developers behind Sonic the Hedgehog, were keen on making an entirely new project, not starring the Blue Blur. Inspired by the aerial acrobatics of Cirque du Soleil and the sensation of soaring above the clouds on airplane trips, this new 32-bit venture was shaping up to be a game unlike anything the world had seen before. So unique was this project that the Sonic Team developers hardly touched the Saturn's graphics library operating system, instead opting to create custom libraries in what came to be known as the Nights engine. In order to capture the original vision of the team, in terms of control, a custom controller with an analog stick was also designed specifically for Nights into Dreams, since constantly performing the circular motions required to progress in the game felt sluggish and imprecise on a directional pad. The iterative process of designing the controller and rebuilding levels over and over again from scratch speaks to the amount of care and passion that was allowed to be poured into this project. To this day, no other port or sequel to Nights for other systems feels anywhere near as sublime as on the Saturn's 3D analog controller, where Nights feels responsive to the degree of being an extension of the players themselves. The storyline of Nights is deceptively simple. On the surface, the CG cutscenes show a boy and a girl having nightmares about their insecurities. The girl, Claris, dreams of being a singer but is plagued with nightmares of being judged harshly for her creative attempt. The boy, Elliot, dreams of playing his favorite sport, basketball, but is also afflicted by nightmares of not being able to measure up against upperclassmen at his school. As they seek to flee from their night terrors, they follow a light that transports them to a dreamlike world in which they can transform into the character known as Nights and battle against the creatures of their night terrors. However, the game's manual adds a considerable amount to the story. We read on pages 6 and 7 that, in the world of Nightopia, where our dreams are played out, an evil being is gaining tremendous power. He is Wise Man the Wicked, and through his creations, the Nightmaren, he captures precious dream energy from humans. If he is not stopped, he will rise from the subconscious and enter our world. No power on Earth will be able to stop him. As Wise Man's Nightmaren start fulfilling his horrible plan, a Nightopian escapes from the dream world and begs the sleeping Elliot and Claris to save the world from the evil being. Just a few moments ago, they felt like total failures, but now that the world needs their help, a courage is growing within them. They accept the Nightopian's desperate request. The creature explains to them that they need to recover 4 types of dream energy from Wiseman's Idia capture, a group of large, machine-like beings. The 4 energies are white, representing purity, green, wisdom, yellow, hope, and blue, intelligence. Wise Man will attempt to steal Elliot and Claris' dream energy and try to confuse them by placing them in strange dream worlds. These worlds are places developed from the depths of their mind. The fifth and rarest of the dream energies, bravery, red in color, is the only type of energy Wise Man and his henchmen cannot steal. It is said that the only one not yet under Wise Man's power is Knights, who appears as an aerial acrobat and is attracted to red dream energy. The Knightopian believes that Elliot and Claris possess this rare energy, and thus Knights will come to their aid. The Knightopian warns that sooner or later, Wise Man will send the most powerful of his Knight-Marins after Claris and Elliot. The two children will need the help of Knights every step of the way to thwart Wise Man's plans if they are to restore peace to Knightopia. That is a huge chunk of lore that the game never directly spells out for the player, but the premise is captivating. Even without having read the manual, the game design does an excellent job of teaching the player what to do without boring tutorials or pages of exposition. Once the player takes control of Knights, they will naturally begin moving with the analog stick. Pressing the controller's face buttons will result in a drill dash attack that uses up an energy meter that can be refilled by flying through rings. Flying in a paraloop creates a burst of energy that will either destroy nearby enemies or collect nearby items. As the player approaches the Idia capture, they will undoubtedly collect shining blue chips along the way. Once they touch the Idia capture, the blue chips will be instantly deposited with a meter showing how many more blue chips are required. All of this must be done within the given time limit, or else Knights will revert back into the form of Claris or Elliot. As a first-time player, I was impressed at how effortlessly the game used motion and visual cues to instantly teach the player how to perform such a complex task. This flourish of brilliant game design is only the beginning. Sonic Team's Iizuka stated that they carefully designed the game to be approachable and beatable for new and inexperienced players, but used a rating system and unlockable levels and endings as an incentive for reaching and rewarding higher levels of play. A minimum of a C ranking is required to unlock the next level upon completion. Each time that I got a low ranking, I felt that it was due to my own lack of skill and not because of poorly wrought controls or level design. As I replayed each level over and over again, I gradually discovered how to quickly break open the Idia capture and initiate bonus time in order to score more points by flying through rings and collecting more blue chips. Finding the right pattern, the right groove, has a zen-like quality in which the player achieves a state of flow that feels exhilarating. Achieving the flow state is this game's main appeal for me, and feels extremely rewarding, especially since the music in each stage is fantastic. Knight's level design also has a refreshingly experimental nature that keeps players on their toes. At times, the camera will zoom to an overhead position or will be placed directly behind Knights. In some stages, Knights can use the stage to bounce themselves off of objects or the ceiling and floor. At other times, they will be shot out of a cannon, put on a roller coaster, ride on a sled, or transform into a dolphin. Some of these gimmicks work better than others. I'm not really a big fan of the overhead view, for example, but they all keep things fresh and interesting, and are, for the most part, delightful in their creative charm. The boss battles are all similarly creative and experimental. While it may have taken me a while to figure out how to defeat the cat henchman named Claus and Knight's evil twin, Rayala, each boss fight is well crafted and each has its own unique feel. Like the stages that precede them, once you know what you're doing, the bosses can be taken out fairly quickly with skillful play, again rewarding the player with the sensation of being in a flow state. Nothing in this game feels stale, and returning to previous levels to shoot for an A rank or new high score is a pleasure. There are always new strategies to employ as one seeks more efficient ways to rack up points. While I may have expected the gameplay to be fun, and it definitely is, one thing that I never expected was the emotional connection I formed with the game. After unlocking the final stage, both Claris and Elliot find themselves on top of a high tower in their own city called Twin Seeds. Knights is captured and locked inside the tower. As you approach, the image of Wise Man appears and knocks Claris and Elliot miles away onto a floating island high above the city. As you peer over the edge, you see certain death below. For the first time playing this game, I was on my own. Knights wasn't there to help me. When I played as Knights, I felt free, empowered to do anything. Now I felt perplexed as I gazed over the edge into the abyss. After a moment, I decided to make the leap of faith, jumping as far as I could and I fell. And then this happened. Seeing Claris and Elliot fly through the air like knights brought a smile to my face. The music of the stage further heightened the sense of triumph I felt during this moment. All this time, I had been relying on knights to fly freely through each dream world, when the power was within Claris and Elliot all along. As I soared across the skies of Twin Seeds to rescue a trapped knights, I felt joyful. This moment still makes me emotional. After defeating the final boss, a touching song called Dreams, Dreams with children singing in the track plays during the credits. How could a game about flying in circles have affected me so deeply? The answer, in part, lies in the intentional incorporation of Carl Jung's analytical psychology into the essence of Nights into Dreams. Once Sonic Team settled on creating a game about a flying character set within a dream world, Takasha Iizuka began researching how to create a setting that felt faithful to what a real dream would be like. This is why the stages in Nights into Dreams range from fairly ordinary to surreal and even bizarre. In psychology, some schools of thought view dreams as having powerful insights into our hidden desires and emotions. For many people, the conscious self or the ego is socialized out of fear of rejection by others to be obedient, predictable, perhaps even likable, but also tame. This causes a person to suppress many parts of their personality into the unconscious region of the mind. Our dreams can be like a mirror held up to the face of our egos to reveal our deepest desires, obsessions, emotions, and repressed memories.
To put it simply, different people have issues inside themselves that they need to overcome, or some sort of conflict deep within themselves. And dreams give us a means of visualizing those conflicts when we go to sleep. That's how dreams work in the real world, at any rate.
Within the unconscious lies the shadow archetype, the personification of the repressed parts of our personalities. It is the side of us deemed to be unacceptable to society, the part of ourselves that remains at odds with socially accepted views on good or evil.
I read a lot of books and other literature about dreams and the deep psyche in order to learn how to faithfully create an actual dream. There are a lot of books out there by experts. The primary foundation I used was the work of Carl Jung. The character of Nights represents what's known in psychology as the shadow, which is sort of an alter self.
As the shadow of Claris and Elliot, Night serves as both a doorway and a guide into the unconscious realm of the dream world. With Nights, the player encounters creatures that are representative of our anxieties, fears, shame, and traumas. However, the shadow can also be a source of renewal as it helps us to recover the positive parts of our personalities that have been suppressed to fit in better with society, such as our assertiveness, attempts at creativity, ambition, and competitive tendencies. This is why the integration of Claris and Elliot with Nights throughout the game results in greater self-reliance for each character, as well as the stability associated with psychological wholeness. After beating the game, Claris and Elliot seemingly return to the real world to face their fears, each overcoming their shared insecurities of failure and social rejection. Claris nails her singing audition, and Elliot earns the respect of his upperclassmen during a game of basketball. It turns out that these two characters in themselves reveal another layer of Jungian analytical psychology. You see, the human psyche is composed of both male and female inclinations. A man has a feminine psyche suppressed into the subconscious called the anima, and a woman has a masculine psyche suppressed into the subconscious called the animus. In order to become a fully actualized person, one must develop the anima or animus to their fullest potentials in order to draw out the fullest realization of their respective masculinity or femininity. Just as Nights represents the shadow, Claris and Elliot represent the anima and animus of the player. It is often said that every story has a hero and a villain. In yours, you are both. The characters in Nights into Dreams are not as distinct as they first appear. In the secret ending that is unlocked by defeating the final boss with both characters, Elliot sees that the girl from his dreams is performing on stage before a crowded theater. When they see one another, they are both filled with joy at being brought together as their fully realized potential selves. The ending credits now have a different version of the Dreams track with only adult voices, symbolizing the growth and maturation of the anima and animus within the player. The human psyche is like the crescent moon above Twin Seeds Tower, with the conscious part of the self as the part of the moon we can see, and the shadow portion of the moon representing the unconscious self, which contains both our best and worst qualities together. This, I propose, is why Nights resonates so strongly with those who play it. The deep insights it offers into our own psychological growth and development are as encouraging and inspiring as the analytical psychology it was founded on. Nights, Claris, Elliot, the Nightmaren, Nightopians, and even Wise Man the Wicked are all representative of parts of the player's psyche. This makes Nights into Dreams more than just another Sega game, and its greatness is in the profundity of its insight into real human minds. Because dreams are a real phenomenon that we all experience, it is possible that by playing this game, Nights can enter our own subconscious just as they did Claris and Elliot's. In this way, Nights can be as real as dreams themselves.
That's one of the things I like most about Nights, is the fact that, as far as I can think of, Nights might be the only game character that a person could ever actually really meet. I really like the idea that fans might look forward to the chance of possibly meeting the real Nights whenever they go to sleep at night.
Hopefully you enjoyed this perspective on one of the greatest games for my favorite system, the Sega Saturn. I know that I always say this, but due to real-life responsibilities, it's hard to find an opportunity to make as many videos as I would like to. I just wanted to share some thoughts on a truly special game in order to leave you with something to hopefully cheer you up during the holidays. But no matter when you're watching this video, I hope that the spirit of the season brightens your day and puts a smile on your face. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone, and keep fighting the good fight, the virtue of fight. Take care.
二人の心に輝く星を、みんなの心に輝く星を。メリークリスマス。